nicest weather outside and you would much rather prefer to actually be at home with a nice cup of tea. But hopefully you can have a nice drink and a cup of tea here and also be involved in a bit of a conversation around well-being. So hopefully that is win-win. What I decided to do is to bring a couple of my friends who are different experts in different areas of well-being. And I'm going to let them introduce themselves, but before I do that, I think it's important for me to introduce myself, so you know who you're talking to, or who's talking at you, rather. And also, why am I talking about well-being? Why is well-being important to me? So, without further ado, my name is Patricia. I founded and run a company around well-being that helps different organizations and individuals to design their lives and businesses in such a way that they can achieve alignment and momentum in different areas of their lives and business. Most of my career was spent in the corporate world, so hopefully that gives me some kind of understanding of what it means to be an employee. And I've also faced my own well-being challenges, which gave me the opportunity to now give the value back to you guys. So that means that I'm in the shoes of an employer, not yet, but soon to be, which gives me an understanding of the other side as well. So I suppose well-being has become such a buzzword lately, and it has gained so much traction, very much so in the corporate space, in the workplace. But I think it would be interesting to understand and start with, what does that word actually mean? What does well-being mean? So, because I want this to be interactive, I actually want to hear from you. What do you actually think? And feel free to shout, feel free to put your hand up or whatever you want, but I really want to understand, what do you think, or what does well-being mean to you? There is no correct answer. What well-being is for me might be something different for these people here and for you guys. So can I please have some answers?
Happiness.
Happiness, okay, fantastic. What else?
You're thriving.
Thriving, okay. What else?
Good mental health.
Good mental health. Good. What else?
Balance.
Balance. You mean work-life balance? Okay, yeah. What else? How do you know that you feel well within yourself? Imagine yourself being well. What does that feel to you?
Positivity.
Positivity, okay. What else?
Feel awake.
Okay, feeling
Awake.
Feeling awake, okay, fantastic. What else?
Freedom.
Freedom, okay, freedom to be, okay, freedom to express yourself. Okay, fantastic. What else?
Feel energetic.
Feeling energetic, okay, fantastic. So physical vitality, awesome.
Purpose, I think.
Purpose, having a sense of meaning, right? Awesome. So as we hear about all of these answers, I think what we can see, so we've done that, is that we can categorize all of these answers into 4 major areas. And obviously the panel gave it away, mind, body, heart, and spirit. But these are 4 major areas, 4 major intelligences, 4 major needs, 4 major capabilities. So when we say intelligence, most people associate that with intellect, right? So our ability to be able to think and learn and do things, create things, all powered by thought. And that is, we could put it into the category of mind, right? But how about physical intelligence? So as you sit here in your seats, are you able, with the power of your thought, can you tell your body to digest? Can you tell your body to start to fight all of the foes? Can you tell your body to beat your heart? Can you? If anyone can, I would be so impressed, seriously. So you can't. And every single cell in your body has so much intelligence is programmed into it, that is able to run your body without you even thinking about it. That is fantastic, and I'm actually pointing out more to Jackie, because there is so much in this space that we still don't know, and we're having to figure out. I'm sure you'll point out the gut-brain connection. I'm not going to steal your thunder. So that is physical. These are tangible things. How about less tangible things like emotional intelligence and social intelligence? What does that actually mean? And I'm not going to steal the thunder for Liv, but I'm just going to point out that emotional and social intelligence is related to our ability to become aware of ourselves and aware of others, is our ability to listen, to relate, to empathize, to care. It's all about what it takes to build good relationships. But how about spiritual intelligence? What does that actually mean? And it comes with such a heavy load, spiritual. Sometimes it could be so woo-woo. But to my understanding and to my experience, spiritual intelligence can be divided into two. One is our need to be able to, our need to contribute, our need to have purpose, as Steph was saying, and our need to create value in our community. And on the other side is also our need and ability to live in accordance with a set of principles, which come from conscience. And obviously this is a big word, and it takes a lot to explain what principles are and how do they come from conscience. And we can have a conversation about that at the end, or maybe another time if you're interested. So there is so much. All of these 4 areas are untapped human potential. There is so much that we don't know, and every single person sitting here has a lot of potential. But the problem is that we don't seem to be able to unlock it fully, absolutely fully, to create the level of life that we really want. How can you become the best of the best at what you do, or whatever you want to do? So that's why I want to have this conversation. And what I wanted to do is to start off. I will start with a couple of questions, and then I will pass it on to you. I'll make it easy for you. And what I want from my dearest panel here is to introduce themselves, and then also, can you please tell us what does well-being mean to you? And as the second part, from your personal experience or working with people, what were the biggest learnings in terms of well-being? What did you learn?
Hi everybody, welcome. My name's Jackie McCusker and I'm a nutritionist. And my first career was a social worker, and I became very, very stressed because it's a very stressful job. And I basically ended up with an autoimmune disease that I think the potential was there, but it was triggered definitely by the stress. So that led me into nutrition. And so I did my degree at Westminster University, and I graduated in 2003. And ever since I've been practicing in private practice and also in corporates as well. And for me, my sense of well-being really is twofold. I think it's a sense of, somebody mentioned vitality. Definitely for me, it's a feeling of vitality and being vital and having energy. And then secondly, on a more sort of spiritual, esoteric, emotional level, it's about feeling comfortable in my own skin. So I think that you can eat the right food, you can exercise, you can do everything right per se, but if you don't feel comfortable in your own skin with who you are fundamentally as a person, if you don't feel that you're aligned to your values, then I think that you're not going to feel very well. Well, that's my sense anyway. And from all of the clients that I've seen, so I basically see a whole plethora of problems. But my own personal journey, as it were, has taken me into the realm of female hormones. So everything from menstrual problems right through to fertility and menopause, perimenopause, postmenopause. But I also see lots of other people as well. But fundamentally, I think what I've learned is, again, of people feeling good in themselves, people feeling good in their own skin, and having resilience to deal with the stress that life gives them, because we are all going to be subject to stress. It's about how we deal with it. So thank you, welcome.
Come on.
We've got one.
I don't know if you need it though, because I have a really loud voice. So can you hear me? Can you all hear? Okay. Have that. So my name is Kyra. I like Kyra Knightley, but no resemblance whatsoever. I am a counselling psychologist. So I graduated back in 2008, and since then I've been working with children, teenagers, adults, people throughout their, just different ages, and I'm focusing on different areas, I would say, from depression, anxiety to psychosis, schizophrenia. So my range covers quite wide, just a wide range of difficulties. What was the question?
What does well-being mean to you?
Right.
And,
Okay.
and then what learning?
What I've learned. So what well-being means to me? For me, somebody mentioned the word balance, and for me that's quite significant. It's the balance between body, mind, emotions, and spirit. Now, whatever that means to me might be different to whatever it means to other people. But the balance between being in tune with my body, being in tune with my emotions, and not responding from a place of emotional turmoil, that's what mental being is for me. What I have learned working with people over the last 11 years is that there's a lot of confusion, there is a lot of information out there, but at the same time there's so many things that we can try. It's just the difficulty in focusing and committing. Because and the fact that personal development, it is not something that you do. Well, my experience is something I don't do it once a week or 1 hour a week. It's like a continuous effort on a daily basis to work on myself. Whether it's my body, whether it's my nutrition, exercise and nutrition, whether it is my emotions, whether it's childhood experiences, whether it's spirit, religion, whatever it means to me, that is what my experience is with people. And I'm happy to discuss about this if you want. But also another word, sorry, I'm just going back to the question about what well-being means to me, is that freedom. You mentioned freedom. The freedom to respond from a place that is not related to, is not associated to your childhood experiences or associated to your fears. It comes from a place that it's beyond. And that comes only through hard work, I would say, or work. not your work, personal work. So that's me.
Thank you.
Hello, my name is Olivia, and well-being to me is learning how to get the best out of yourself. So how you can be the best that you possibly can be. My background is hypnotherapy, counselling, EFT, different forms of modalities. And what I've done is I've actually combined those healing modalities to, now I mentor and coach people to really, so they can get the best out of themselves along with sound principles, so they can really optimise. And so that way to make positive, powerful and progressive, long-lasting change. One of the biggest things I'd say in terms of well-being is a lot of people don't really know where to begin because they've never actually been taught, what it actually means to be well. And like Patricia mentioned at the beginning, we're made up of these 4 unique intelligences. And if we don't really, we've been studying, for example, the human eye, but scientists have been doing it for like 200 years, and we know 2% of it, and that's just the physical dimension. So there's a lot that we don't understand, and so the starting point would really be for people to really learn where they are and where they're not. So wellness would, for me, it represents everything that you want in your life and how to get there.
Fantastic. Thank you so much.
Hello, my name is Shifu from China, you can say. Actually from Shaolin Temple, I was training there for 10 years, and I also did Tai Chi for 10 years as well before I came here. And now I've been teaching in London for just over 16 years. So
16 years.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
since 2002.
Mhm.
Yeah. Earlier, so you get all mentioned different points. For my point of view of well-being, I think is you keep your mentally positive and physically strong. And so like you mentioned, someone mentioned about balance. So the balance is not just simple balance of your, you can stand there more stable. It's balance about the whole body, the circulation, and also like I mentioned about the body really intelligent. Yeah, that's, like we know, like a car, you drive and you need a windscreen, a wash, so you press the handle and they do it. And so that's why so many the smaller computers control it. And our body works different. Our body is intelligent, and the more intelligent that our brain knows it. We think we know everything. That's why when we do exercise, our brain always tell our body to do. And for example, you're learning something, you're learning to the exercise. And some people pick up a lot quicker, some people pick up slower. They usually, if they pick up slower, when they watch something, they go through their brain. Then the brain tells the body how to move. And that's how you learn slower. Actually, our body is really clever. So how to learn quicker, I always tell my students that it's a really simple way. And you don't need to go through your brain. Just say, it's like you copy and paste. Yeah. So that's quite easy to do it. If you go through the brain, because the brain actually makes your body manually do it. It manually sends a signal to the body. And that's why you pick up your body waiting for the signal. And then your brain needs to digest and send signal to the body pick up. And by the time you pick up, and they already move to two moving away. Yeah. So, and also when you do see the balance includes your blood circulation, your physical balance, your strength balance, your digestion balance, your blood pressure balance. So this all you can, that's why the exercise is so important to our body. Because when you do the right exercise, good exercise. What's a good exercise? Is after you exercise, you feel you're still very energized, you feel you're positive, you feel happy, and you feel relaxed. So some exercise, people usually say after you do exercise, oh, you have very good workout. And it usually means they sweat a lot. Yeah, that's called good workout. And my opinion is that's not a very good workout. I think after you do the exercise, you feel tired, and you feel you need a coffee or something with you, say, so that's not very good exercise. At the moment, there's so many gyms, and they training people to build the muscles. Well, my opinion, that's the type of muscle which is the worst type of muscle. You have the muscles, actually they whip your body, don't make your body strong, because you get more stiff. The muscle is more round the shape. So they reduce your flexibility, they reduce your balance, reduce your coordination. So you think you make it stronger, you can lift the weight more, but actually for body functioning is much less. So for we talk about the well-being. It's just when anything you do, you feel mentally you need positive and relaxed. And physically you need to feel you enjoy, you're happy. Whatever you're going to do, you've got the strength to do it. Not always, when you do something, you feel, I run out of energy. So you're always physically happy, internally happy about, nutrition, what you eat, it provides the right energy and provides the right mineral, whatever you need, which is good food. So the balance mentally, physically, internally.
Thank you. Thank you, Shifu. Keep the microphone. We can pass on from each other. So I think what I would want to do now is to address a topic, and I'm looking at Jackie because Jackie will be possibly the best person to answer this. My experience is that there is so much confusion information in terms of what is best to eat, what's not best to eat, what diet is best. Should we be vegan? Should we be keto? Should we be paleo? Can you put some light onto this, and why is there so much confusing information out there?
Okay. So the first thing to say is that no one diet fits all. We're all unique. We've all got a unique individual biochemistry. The reason why there's so much confusion is because there's so much information out there, and because it's big business. So the diet book industry is huge. It sells so many books every year, and it can be the lifeblood of a lot of publishing agencies. So, and not only that, it's coming from blog posts, so it's coming from the digital format, and it's also trendy. It's whatever's in trend, it's whatever's fashionable. So you mentioned a few things there, like the ketogenic diet, the paleo. So the ketogenic diet, for example, is something that can be really healthy for some people, but it can be really unhealthy for other people. So, for example, if you've got type 2 diabetes or you're insulin resistant, you might want to consider a ketogenic diet because you want to lessen the impact of whatever you eat on your insulin response. But however, if you're on long-term ketogenic diet, you could be then disrupting the microbiome balance in your gut because you're reducing diversity. And the microbiome is all the trillions of organisms that live in our gut that are subject to a huge amount of research at the moment because there's trillions of them. There's more of them than there are our own cells. And not only that, so in that way they are host to us rather than the other way around. And in that way they also have their own genetic makeup. And their genes are actually communicating with our genes, and they have the power to switch on and off our pro-inflammatory genes, okay? So reducing the diversity long-term of your diet by reducing carbohydrate intake in the form of vegetables, etc., is not a good thing, I would suggest. However, for some people, the ketogenic diet, as I said, can be very, very useful, okay? The same with paleo, the same with any diet, really. I think that you have to look at what your own individual requirements are, how old you are, where you are in your life stage, what your needs are, where do you live. We live in London, we've got lots of pollution. But I think fundamentally, if you're looking at a population-wide sort of guidelines, it's much more fundamental to look at a whole food diet. Yeah? So rather than any kind of fatty diet, make sure that the food that you're eating is from a whole food source that has the complete food matrix. And so what I mean by this is that, say for example, an apple grows on a tree, okay? An apple grows on a tree, it's subject to wind and rain and all the seasons that impact its nutritional content. So the matrix, you're talking not just about sort of taking out isolated things like, say, pectin out of apple. You're looking at the polyphenols, you're looking at the fibre, you're looking at all the nutrients in the apple, you're looking at where that apple grew, you're looking at did it have any pesticides or any chemicals, was it organic? And if you have it in its whole food status, you're more likely to absorb those nutrients. Okay, so.
And it's not easy not everyone absorbs the food in the same way, right?
Absolutely not. So I mentioned, the microbiome. So again, if you're looking at the microbiome, you can go right back to your birth. Yeah, and even you can go back to your mother's health as well. So how was your birth? Were you C-section? Did you come down the birth canal? Because you acquire this bacteria as you're traveling down the birth canal. If you are born C-section, you don't acquire that bacteria, and that's no judgment. It's no emergency C-sections or planned C-sections are absolutely fine. It's just the fact, yeah. Were you breastfed? Because again, you will acquire microbiome from being breastfed, yeah. So it's all of those things. What stress were you under? What was your diet like as you were growing up as a child? You know, and that is all has a massive impact on your microbiome. But then, aside from the microbiome and the absorption of nutrients, do you have any digestive problems that are going to reduce your absorption? Even just basic stress in the workplace, not even serious stress, small, as I call it, small stresses, will reduce your digestive enzyme output from the pancreas, and also your hydrochloric acid output from the stomach, which in turn reduces your absorption of nutrients from the gut.
Fantastic, okay. Yeah. Right, we will come back to this because what I want to make sure is that we move along and then we keep it interesting. And then hopefully we will have some questions from you guys as well, because I feel that this is a wealth of information that, I mean, you can get from us right here, right now. So, Kyra.
Yes.
So, I suppose mental health has, I'm not quite sure it's the best way of saying it, but mental health has become more prevalent nowadays, or maybe there is more information around it. Why do you think mental health has increased so much in the last couple of years? What is it about it?
I think the world is awareness. There is a mental awareness around that. And the fact that, well, there are a couple of reasons. Well, but again, based on my experience, is that social media. I don't know if you agree or disagree with that. You can hear a lot of stories. You can not hear, but you can read a lot of stories of many people who suffer from mental health. And when I say mental health, I'm not only talking about depression and anxiety here. There's a wide range of mental health problems. I just need to clarify that, because when you hear the word mental health, it's just depression and anxiety. It's not. So it can be, bipolar, psychosis, different personality difficulties that people can experience that really makes their life extremely difficult. And on social media, you can see and you can read stories of those people, how much they struggle. So I think social media really, really has kind of from one point it has helped. On the other hand, it kind of exposes to just a lot of information. The other thing is that I think many famous people start talking about their own mental health problems and their own difficulties over the years dealing with, I think Prince, correct me if I'm wrong, Prince William. Harry and William, they talked about their depression when their mother died, and there are a lot of football players who talked about depression. And I think there are more who have diagnosed with other mental health problems. And I think the fact that they talk, because they're doing so well, and we only see that, how well they're doing, how can we not do it? I think because they're talking about it, it kind of brings a sense of, I don't want to use the word normality, it's like a validation. Okay, they have it, it's not just me. There are other people out there. And I think another reason that I can think of is the people that I work with, once they experience their own difficulties and they come to therapy, they start becoming more sensitive to others. So they start being able to empathize and acknowledge when somebody is in crisis, when somebody is struggling. And what they do, they just go and they offer that, they offer that support. That instantly makes them feel better. They can enjoy, they have a purpose in a way. They share their story, but at the same time, I have people who come to me and say, you know what, this colleague of mine share their experience with mental health, and I had no idea. So I think the sharing and the fact that we all have experienced the mental health problems, and how we share it with others, we're more open and open, because simply we're just in tune with the other person's difficulties. And I think that's another reason that it's not really, people don't really talk about it, but again, there's a stigma around it, I think. So I think there's kind of, there might be other reasons, but these are the reasons that I'm aware of, at least at the moment. I don't know what people think.
And would you be able to explain, because ultimately and this is my experience, I feel that because we deal with life, and life has its sets of challenges, its sets of problems, no matter how big or small, everyone in some shape or form is dealing with mental health, right?
Yeah.
So how do our thoughts impact this, and what is it about it that makes it for us quite difficult to actually face life challenges?
Right, so the question is about, so your question is about what is about us that we struggle to deal with life.
Yeah.
Yeah? Okay.
That's it.
I got this.
Good, we are on track.
I got this. So, is it okay if I ask people? Would that be okay? Yeah. So if I ask you what's stopping you to focus on your own decisions around personal development, whether that's nutrition, whether that's a body, whether it's mind, whatever you choose to do to help yourselves with getting the balance, the happiness, the freedom, the whatever is that. What would you say?
Not having the time.
Not having the time. Okay. I'll keep that.
Not knowing where to start.
Not knowing where to start. Thank you. Yes. Any other thoughts?
Mindset of it can always be done tomorrow.
Yes, 100%.
Social pressure or like professional pressure?
Tell us more.
So always wanting to, or putting pressure on yourself, and you're like, oh, maybe I won't be able to do it. So you're kind of like, okay, so I'm going to decide so that I don't have to deal with it.
Ignoring it, avoiding it, just putting it aside for another day, perhaps, or because I don't have the time, or because I don't know where to start. Yeah? Okay. So it's a really personal, this is your question about what's stopping us from. All of those answers are, from my experience, are spot on, and I'm pretty sure the people who haven't spoken yet, they're actually thinking of things, and they're also quite right. The reason for that is because we don't really prioritize ourselves. We prioritize our job, we prioritize our families, our partners, what else? A deadline. And what else? What can it be? What else do we put above ourselves?
Everything.
Exactly. Everything. We put ourselves just like at the bottom of our priority list. So if we actually put ourselves at the bottom of the priority list, why would you actually focus on you when there's so many other things? Naturally, life will seek your attention. If you have children, if you don't have children, if you have in-laws, if you don't have in-laws, if you have a partner, if you have a boss, if you have a colleague, there's so many things. So what's stopping us from facing my experience challenges is that we don't really focus on our invest and focus on ourselves because there's so many other things. And when we do, that's where the challenge begins, because then we have to deal with what's inside, and that is scary. I don't know if people, do you agree or disagree? That's really scary. You're doing therapy as well. It's really scary to look within. So, does this make sense? Yeah. Whether disagree or agree, it's just a thought.
I concur to that because having been on this journey, I can tell you that there are moments when I feel like, no, I don't want to admit this to myself or to other people.
And sometimes our body does that without actually being aware. So you heard the word self-sabotage. If we actually think of ourselves, our body can sabotage when we kind of reach our upper limit, what we call, we just do something and then we reach the point that we kind of, we stop, we're blocked, yeah? And then, what happens? Well, we go back to old habits. Why we do that? So that moment when you think, I can't go any beyond, that your body sabotages you, your mind sabotages you because you think, oh, I haven't thought about that, or no, I don't have anything to contribute, I'm really not good enough to do X, Y, Z, or I don't have the motivation. But actually that's the point when you kind of think about, okay, what's obvious to me about where I am here and now? What can I do differently to, what can I do differently? Whether it's diet, you know, whether it's ask help, whether it's read, but I understand 100% what you're saying, that there's so much information out there, it's so confusing. But only through, is it trial and effort, the phrase? You try, no, trial,
Error.
trial and error.
Yeah.
But they both start with E.
Yeah.
For error. Yeah, it's going to start with E. You try and you see. I have tried over the last 11 years so many things. And in all of those years, there's some things that have helped me at that point in life that looking back now, they wouldn't have been helpful here and now. But now I found other things that helped me. So this constant, that's why at the beginning I said, it's a constant journey. It's not a journey that you just say, okay, I'll just 1 hour a week, I'm gonna see this person and it will be okay. It's not. It's like brushing your teeth. If you don't brush your teeth every day, twice a day, you will end up with rotten teeth. It's the same with personal development. If you don't really focus on that, then you kind of eventually become so overwhelming that it's just, it's just paralyzing. I do talk a lot, by the way. So you need to stop me, you know that.
No, you actually sort of have a very good point, because now I'm looking at Liv, and I would love her to be able to build a bit on this, and also to maybe explain what is it that makes it so difficult for us to change or to pick certain habits, and also why do we not get where we want to get to?
So if I give you a little bit of a kind of background in terms of why we are the way we are, we all created our own glass ceiling. So we all, as we were brought up, we have our own programs, how we view the world, how we actually, now we navigate through by our maps essentially. Now if we don't check those, it's like Missy Elliott, if you don't check yourself, you wreck yourself, okay? So if we're not aware of the very programs that we are following, we're gonna just forever live out that. It's like a movie, it's a constant cycle. So your question was, why is it so hard for us to change? Okay, it's hard for us to change because it takes work, and really it's quite painful. If you think about it, it's like our comfort zone. It's a familiar road that we've been down. We all have this fear of the unknown, which cripples all of us, by the way, because oh my God, what's going to happen? What if I am great? You know, and so. So, you know, if I could bring it back as also in terms of emotional intelligence as well, because that's really the core of everything. I finalised that emotions are the root to every issue that we have underneath. So, does anyone here know what emotion stands for? Does anyone has a guess? You? Okay. It's energy and motion. So, you guys, do you like sport, like football? Do you support anyone?
What's your favourite sport? Come on, guys.
Sorry, I was just going to use a
Okay. Sorry, I was like trying to. Come on.
So if you watch when the fans with their team that they love and they score a goal, look at them all just get so excited, they're overjoyed. Yet they can't really explain what's going on, or if their team loses, they'll suddenly feel quite bad. And so what's going on is really we become so disconnected from ourselves that we don't really know the language of our hearts. So in order to understand the language of our own hearts, we've got to know what's most important to us. That it basically being not a person or a material thing. Now that there, those are called values, the big V word. Now those bad boys, they are actually the core to you as a human being. Yet we're so truncated we don't even realise that, right? Now those values are actually become our moral compass. Now, moral compass, guys, that's your conscience. We've all got one. And to the degree that we don't use it, you're basically a psychopath. So we have quite a few of those actually, probably running in the face, right? Anyway.
Talk to Kyra.
The reason why I'm telling you this is because if we don't know what's most important to us, if we don't really connect to that, we'll never make well-founded decisions, okay? Now, it's quite hard to dig these out because we've actually been taught from a default system of fear. Everything has a consequence. Don't do this, you'll get into trouble. Oh, don't do that, you've got to pay bills. Oh, you can't do that, you'll never get a career in that, So we're constantly hindered by fear. So we jump back to our default system, which says, it's every single negative emotion from fear, sadness, irritability, moody, angry, all of them. This quickly imitate those negative emotions, yet we can't really connect to things like humility, awareness, responsibility, just every positive emotion, joy. We find it very difficult to feel those and resonate on that level, because that's our heart, by the way. That's our emotional intelligence. We're so stuck in our brain because we've been brought up in a left-brained society where everything is intellect. No, people who are right-brained are considered crazy in a world that is very left-brainy. So we struggle because we have a very limited idea about our potential as well. We actually don't believe that we can, in every dimension, be it physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, how much you're worth as well. I mean, all of you here, I guarantee you're not earning what you actually could be or should be. So it's things like that. We're quite interested in people because we actually look for what we believe in, and then when new information comes in, we're like, we reject it. So the growth process is painful. It's being dedicated to reality. It's being dedicated to actually change, transform. And my God, that's a scary, scary thing to do. Let alone then dealing with, a new version of yourself, stepping up. So it's really important who you have around you, the guidance you have, the people who are also doing it. Now, we did mention principles. They have been thrown around. I just want to kind of say there's such a big, big, big thing because we're all governed by these principles. And they're natural laws, okay? This is why I do what I do, because I know how people can get results, because we're all governed by them, like gravity, okay? So principles, there's a lot of information out there, like in any kind of industry, like personal training. There's good ones, there's bad ones. There's so much info out there, yet the power is actually in the application, being able to follow through, okay? So the biggest struggle for people is actually to get out of their head, get into their heart, to actually take that first step. Most people they're like rabbits caught in the headlights, and they don't really know where to kind of turn, who to turn to, and if it's going to work. So we just constantly are putting blocks in front of ourselves. Does that answer the question? Kind of just went off on one there.
Yeah.
No, I think it does. I mean, I would love to turn to the audience as well in just a couple of minutes, because I think this is really fruitful information to be able to explore, because this is ultimately what's hindering us in terms of really, really achieving. I think it's so right what you said in terms of we don't believe in ourselves. We don't think that we can achieve everything that we want to achieve, and I think that's I think this is taking a bit too far, but it's a crime to humanity. I'm so sorry, I'm going to say it.
Yes.
Because, my gosh, we have only one life, and we never really take it to the full potential. I think that's so sad. So, from that, moving on, I would like Shifu to maybe explain a bit. Now we're going into the territory of the Shaolin and the territory of maybe spirituality. But would you be able to explain to us, from your understanding and how you applied it in your own life, what does chi or chi mean? Thank you. And why is it important for our well-being? And maybe can you also, everyone, whenever we think of the Chinese philosophy, we know the yin and yang, it's very nice to talk about yin and yang, but then we don't really understand what does that actually mean and how can we apply it for ourselves. Would you be able to expand a bit on that?
Qi and yin yang.
Yes.
So qi is which is the qi is a Chinese name. It can have quite a few different meanings. And qi means air. Like you're breathing in and out of the air. And that can also mean your internal energy. The air also can mean the dantian.
The dantian.
So the dantian, which is it's quite difficult to describe what is the dantian, which is when you open, you can't find anything, not like an internal organ, you can find something like this, but you do able to, when you do the certain exercise, you do able to feel your power come from here. So for example, you do the punching, you do the energy release, you do the whole body, you can feel here give you greater support. If you lot of energy will come from your feet, they travel up and go through here spread to the face, the palm, the knee, the elbow, so whatever you want to go, all spread to the whole body.
So below the belly button. Is that what we would
Yeah,
say?
usually say 1 inch below the belly button. But if you cut it, you can't find anything there. But you can feel the powers from that. So usually I say, like internal power station. That's what we call them qi at the dantian. So it's quite difficult to understand if you've never done this kind of training, but actually quite easy to feel. You can feel very quickly, and if you do the right movement, in a couple of minutes you can feel what I mean. So when you of course link with your breathing, link with your whole body working together coordination, and you can feel here is very important. But if you've never done this before, it's more difficult to understand just by what I say to you.
We will actually, at the end, we will do a 20-minute session of Tai Chi that Shifu Yang will take us through. So maybe we can actually explore it. But so why is that important? Why is it that dantian important to our well-being? What's the role that it plays?
So the qi, the dantian. So we born, we come with the original qi. With the baby or with the original qi. And when the original qi will link with the immune system as well. When you grow up, your immune system gets stronger, your qi gets stronger as well. And usually when you go see the Chinese doctor, and they put the fingers on your pulse,
Yeah.
and then they say your internal qi is low. But it's quite confusing. The internal qi is low. What does it mean? And then my doctor checked my blood pressure, my iron level. Everything's fine. But you feel weak. You go to a machine, you take an X-ray, you take a scan, can't find any problem. You check your blood pressure, you check all your mineral level, your vitamin, everything's fine. But you feel weak. So usually we say the qi is low. So qi is not just energy. It's qi also linked with the immune system. It's to protect your body. If your qi is low, then definitely your immune system is low. So you can easily get a cold, and very quickly you feel weak. So you feel, just not very active. So that also means the qi is low. And so sometimes you can lose your original qi. So the original qi, I said at the beginning. So people born with, everyone born with the original qi. Now how you lose it? If, for example, people have the operation and they have cut, and after the gut already healed, and you still feel weak for quite a little while. It can take you 3 months, can take you 6 months, even take you a year. You cannot recover, but everything outside already recovered. Maybe internal everything recovered, but you do feel weak. So usually we say you lose original qi. It's quite difficult to understand, but this is improved, and this is a fact. If you don't, if you just have a couple of weeks, maybe a month, you feel weak, but you don't know what's wrong. Your diet, everything's the same, but you do feel less energy, you get tired really quickly. And usually your qi energy is low. If qi energy is low, you need to do the right exercise to boost your qi. Not from the pump the muscle. The pump the muscle then pumps the qi. And actually make you more stiff, your body more stiff. That means you use more energy to run your body because you're not coordinated together. And you feel stiff. If you feel stiff, it not just along your body. It make you feel heavy, and they send a signal to the brain. Your brain said to feel my body not flexible. Then they add the pressure to the brain. So this was said earlier. Our body is really clever. Before people have like hip replacement.
Yeah, replacement, hip replacement.
Yeah, and after operation they carry the people said don't move, sit down on the bed, sit on the chair for a couple of weeks. 2 weeks. But actually, it take much, much longer for your body to heal. Yeah, but because your body sends a signal to the brain, to your nervous system as well. Say, I have a problem there. So your brain, the nervous system will penalize that. So they will put a red flag. So they will fix the problem, actually make your body less active. The less active, it takes more longer to heal because they send less attention to that. So now the doctor finds that after they have the operation, you wake up from the injection, what's it called?
Anesthesia.
Yeah. So they ask you to move straight away in a couple hours, and actually take much quicker. So my point is, if you physically you send the wrong signal to the brain, that actually not just affects your physical strength, physical flexibility, it also affects your brain. Your brain will penalize your body. Like when people have big muscle, they not flow, then your brain will penalize that. And that will side effect, negative effects. So that's what I said earlier. So when you do the exercise, it's so important. When you do the exercise, you feel after training, you feel you're happy. Why you feel happy? You don't feel tired, and also you feel enjoy. Now you send positive energy to the body and to the mind, and also make chi stronger.
And yin and yang.
Yin yang, I think everyone knows yin yang quite well. So yin yang is we're back to, you all know yin yang is like hot is yang, cold is yin, and water, fire. Yeah, there's lots of things the yin yang opposite way. But yin yang it also means the balance. Earlier we said about balance. The balance, is balance. Many different things. All the body, all your life is about balance. And everything about balance. The good exercise is keep good balance with your body. And so, for example, to make your body stronger, at the same time it's more flexible. Like make your joint hold your muscle and tendons, also hold your joint more smooth. Say people have a lower back problem. Lower back problem usually is people use the wrong movement and suddenly they pull that. Or in the morning you could hurt your back 2 minutes. In the morning you get up and you go there, you wash your face, you brush your teeth. And because you bend down, so like this way, I can show you. You bend down like this. The 2 minutes, you think it's only 2 minutes, but in the morning your body is stiff. And especially when people the body the lower back is already a bit weak, and you can hurt them in 2 minutes. So why the waist, lower back is weak? Because you got the disc, you got the spine. So the muscles, the tendon around them, because you hurt them, so they get loose. And when they loose, they don't hold them very precisely. They get loose. When loose, you can easily move, the disc can move away to the side, and push to the nerves, they push, they add the pressure to the side. So when you do the wrong exercise, because your body loses the central balance, it loses the balance, loses the sensitivity to how accurately your body can work together. So that usually make it worse. So it's quite important in training for your body to analyze your body, not your mind to analyze your body. Because as I said about a car, that matter how many computer you do, you put in, you still manually do it. Our body is automatically, like you blink your eyes, something drop, you quickly move away or quickly catch up. They don't go through your brain. So our body is amazing. We can do so many different things without you send a signal from your brain. Like you see something from your eyes, so the signal is separated. They will automatically send to the brain or send to the nervous system. So inside the nervous system, you have to think about send to the brain. That's what think about. So the yin yang, back to yin yang. Yin yang is about balance. If you're thirsty, you drink. You drink too much, it's not good. Even what everyone will say, drink water, you try drinking 10 liters a day. You get positive. Yeah. So all our life is about balance. So balance is yin yang. So you can balance better and you feel your life more comfortable. Yeah. It's the same to the you know, anything like we all work hard to make money and make it live more comfortable, but you make too much money and you get too hard work. And then you don't enjoy it, so you lose the balance. It's always about balance. And when I was in the school, in the primary school, I remember once the math, the question, they said, you know, you put the water in the tank, and one tap, you know, there's a slightly bigger, the water go in, another one to go out, the water go out. They ask you to when you can fill it in the tank when you turn on at the same time. What was the difference? I think that's such a silly question. Why you do that? You waste water. Now, I think this is most useful the question is our life, about the income and outgoing. It's a balance. So you don't need to make the water full. You just need to keep it good balance. You know, a little bit more than you need, and you feel comfortable. You don't need to work hard. Then the water come out.
Well, that's great. Thank you so much, Shifu Young. And I think what I would love now is to actually go back to you guys. So, and I'll come with the microphone to. Oh, actually, no, you can actually tell us. I think we can hear. So, do you have any questions for the panel, esteemed panel here?
So I think it's about going back to yourself, where you are in your life, what your needs are, what you want to achieve, yeah, and within all of that, what your work-life balance is like, what you can do. I would say within all of that, the most important thing is to eat a whole food diet, yeah. So I spoke briefly about the food matrix. So I would eat a diet that's predominantly vegetable-based, plant-based. But personally, I don't know what anybody's view is on veganism or vegetarianism, but from my point of view, I would definitely have a little bit of animal protein in there. But it's about sustainable, it's about good quality protein, but a predominantly whole food diet, yeah? That if possible can be organic, so that you limit the amount of environmental toxins that you're taking into your body.
Yeah. So also eat foods that are rich in prebiotics and probiotics. So I spoke briefly about the microbiome. So it's not just about the beneficial bacteria that you take into the gut, it's about providing the right environment for those bacteria to adhere to the gut. So the prebiotic foods again are natural foods like garlic and onions and bananas and oats, all of the natural whole foods. And then probiotic foods are things like sauerkraut and kimchi and natural yogurt, things like that. Yeah. So it's sort of looking at your diet and thinking, right, I'm going to be predominantly plant-based with some judicious use of good quality animal protein. That's if you're not ethically opposed to it. Yeah. Does that make sense? Yeah?
Does everyone understand the low glycemic part of it? Okay.
Do you want me to explain that for you? So when I'm talking about low glycemic impact, I'm really talking about a whole food group that's known as carbohydrates. Okay? Now, carbohydrates are a huge food group, and unfortunately, there's a lot of anti-carb people out there, and this is the new. It used to be anti-fat, and then that myth was debunked, and now it's anti-carb. But carbohydrates are a massive food group. So, for example, a croissant is a carbohydrate, but so too is broccoli. Okay, so you're talking about all vegetables, all fruit, and all grains, yeah. And basically, they're foods that are all reduced into a single unit that's absorbed into the bloodstream as glucose. Okay, so everything is absorbed into the bloodstream, is broken down in your digestive tract as glucose and absorbed into the bloodstream. Now, obviously, I talked about this massive food group. So all carbs are not created equally, like the croissant and the broccoli. Okay, so broccoli is your whole food, yeah, and croissant is I'm not going to demonize the odd croissant, but it is like, you know, usually made from white flour, which is processed because it's had the grain, the outer half of the grain removed. Okay, so basically, when you eat a croissant that's refined sugar, refined flour, it is digested and emptied into the bloodstream at a much quicker rate than broccoli. Do you understand? So it has a much higher glycemic impact than broccoli. So what that means is that it will be absorbed into the bloodstream, and it will spike your blood sugar level. And at that point, insulin is secreted by the pancreas to bring that blood sugar back down within normal limits, because that's life-sustaining. And with all of the experts here spoke about the inherent intelligence of the body, and it is inherently intelligent. All it wants to do is keep us alive. So insulin is life-sustaining, and so it brings our blood sugar back within normal limits. But if you do that too frequently, we become insulin resistant. So our cells become, our cells don't listen to the message of insulin anymore. And at that point, you can become pre-diabetic. Does that make sense? Yeah. So that would probably necessitate coming to see somebody like me or one of my colleagues to do some biochemical testing to see whether or not there are any nutritional imbalances. You know, that could be blood tests to see what your nutrient status is like. It could be a stool test to see what your microbiome is like, what the balance of your bacteria is like, if there are any parasites there. There's a whole raft of functional tests. But in the absence of doing that, it's exactly what you said, eating a whole food diet. There's been, out of all the diets we've talked about, the Mediterranean diet is actually the one that is proven in the Lancet, in BMJ, and all the journals, and all the epidemiological studies, because it's rich in whole food, it's got some good quality protein, but primarily it's plant-based.
When you say Mediterranean diet, we don't think of like bowls of pasta, but we
No.
think about loads of vegetables.
Absolutely. Predominantly vegetables.
Sorry.
Predominantly vegetables with good quality fats, so your monounsaturated fatty acids from, say, like avocado, your polyunsaturated fatty acids from nuts and seeds and oily fish, your phytonutrients from all your vegetables. You know, they say eat the rainbow. I say eat the rainbow. It's true. If all the colour, all the pigmentation on your fruit and vegetables actually denotes its phytonutrient content, its antioxidant content. So, for example, the red in tomatoes denotes its lycopene content. Lycopene is a super antioxidant. It's very, very important for men, particularly because it's very protective of the prostate gland, but it's also very protective of the skin cells, so it can protect when you're out in the sun, yeah, from sun damage as well. So yeah, exactly. So you can have some grain. So again, these things have been really, demonized. But again, like if you're going to have a grain, make sure it's something like, a lovely brown basmati rice that doesn't have the bran removed, or it's a quinoa, for example, things like that, yeah. And then the odd bowl of pasta is fine. Everything in moderation. I very much live by an 80-20 rule, where 80% of the time I try to be as healthy as I possibly can on my diet, and then 20% of the time I'm a bit more lax, because we live in the real world.
I'll tell you what my cue is. You live a really, really busy life. Your mind is most likely preoccupied with so many things you have to do on a daily basis. And at night is the only time that you spend with yourself. So those thoughts are there, but they get distracted because you don't really pay attention to them. At night, again, my view is that you kind of start listening, you start focusing what's happening. And of course, throughout the day, that you have examples of, or even if you don't have examples or experience, you will come up with an example that I wasn't good enough. Because if you do have that belief that you're not good enough, your brain will come up with amazing examples on a daily basis. Oh, I could have done that there, I should have done that. So my view is that night is the time where you kind of just relax, and you're just more mindful and more aware of what's happening in your brain.
100%. Most of us can't even really sit with ourselves and listen to exactly what you said. But the mind is also designed to protect us. And so the thoughts that are coming up, I mean, if you think about thoughts, they're just questions that you're asking yourself. It's not like this me. And if you actually sit there, you can laugh at yourself for some of the things that come up. But what happens is, if we're not aware that we aren't our thoughts, that we can observe them, we actually become identified with them. And what happens is, notice how every negative emotion comes from the mind. So you have a negative thought and then you feel really bad, like, oh my god, like, someone said this to me today, and like, I don't know whatever's going on. But that's what kicks us in off kilter. So understanding, basically, in short, if you want to learn how to get the best out of yourself, you've got to learn about yourself, which means learning about your mind, the tool that it is, which is fantastic. But if you let it run you, that immediately, like, your question is really why at night, but it's all the time. That's why when we sit with ourselves, we literally don't like our own company. So yeah, anyway, just leave it at that, but I hope that helps.
I would just maybe want to add a bit. I would just want to add a bit more, because I've been living with this constantly, and it has become more apparent as I'm running my business, because it's always that pressure to be able to deliver, to read, to be in the social norm. You know, you have a business, you should be successful, etc., etc. And obviously the challenge for us is to be able to understand that we can do something about it, but we have to work towards it. And I would definitely suggest to anyone that has, everyone will have any kind of challenges within themselves, not being good enough, although what my understanding is, and my experience working with people is, that most of the times we go back to, that is the main reason, regardless of what it is, regardless if you're having a conversation with a client and you're not able to really stand up for what you believe in, or having a challenge with someone at work, etc. All of it comes from the fact that we somehow don't feel that we're good enough.